Hello and welcome back to another video. It's now round 2 and we're still at Silverstone. We've had a decent start, I think, 4th place in race 1, but now it is time to go straight into qualifying off the bat and see what we can do for race 2. Can we get pole position? Are we going to be in the top 5? What's going to happen? But this time, out on track, we decided as a team that we go out together and work with each other to try and get a decent place, as everyone else seems to work with each other. And we thought, well, let's see if we can go out just on our own without anyone else and get some good laps. So this is my fastest lap. As you can see, giving myself a nice gap to Rob ahead. He was struggling with a bit of rear end grip. He didn't have any rear end grip essentially. So I thought if I give myself a really nice gap, that'll allow me to tow up to the back of him and hopefully catch him by the back straight. So as you can see, slowly but surely closing in on him as we head into turn 3 for the first braking zone in the 2 CVs, and we are hard on the brakes. Closing. Rob's got to be so careful with that rear end because it was so twitchy, and we're right on the back of him already, which hopefully means we can get a really nice tow at the back straight as we head through the loop onto the back straight. I had to check up just a little bit there as Rob hassling his rear end into line, but we stick right behind him. And because we checked up a little bit, he got a slightly better run, which actually I think in the long run helped us out as we used the slipstream to power up to the back of him, and then we'll make the pass just before we turn in. Now actually didn't have as much overspeed as I thought, so I think I sacrificed a little bit of entry by not being able to get all the way to the outside, and I think I didn't have the car straight either, so adding a little bit of turn in. You see the car wobbling around there as it bounces as the tyres let go. And then the springs, which are slightly too soft, decide to bounce around a little bit. But we get through down into Vale. We hit that first apex, a little bit of understeer on the exit, and then hit that second apex and let it drag itself out to the outside for the final corner as we head across the line. Very early line there, but although it was a slightly messy lap, we actually managed to secure pole position, which is going to do a great deal of good for race 2. So fantastic bit of teamwork between the two of us as we head into race 2 on pole position. So pulling alongside is Robert Dawson as we give each other a good thumbs up. We worked as well as we could through that session, and we got pole position. As you can see, everyone giving me the finger. Absolutely fantastic. I didn't realise until this point, but you could hear elated by that. And Robert got 4th as well, but stand by for a bit of crucial information.
Got the good news? You're on pole.
With a 40-point car?
I don't know how long. Is that going to be legal to keep?
Now, as you can hear from Tom there, is that going to be legal to keep? We didn't have a front wing on due to losing it in Quali 1. It was on the middle of the track. We couldn't get it on time. And so we ran without it. There was a petition put in for me to be disqualified from the session by another team, which we contested and eventually won, but there was a lot of back and forth to win that. So pole position for race 2. Would you rather?
What's one thing?
Wait. Keep going.
No, you can all get fix my hair. So P1 for myself, P4 for Robert Dawson. It's looking strong for Podium MotorWorks. Both cars in the front 2 rows. Brian Heary starts 2nd. I believe it is Andrew Bull. No, Andrew Bull started 5th, I think. Nick Crispin starting in 4th position. So let's head into race 2 of the Classic 2CV Racing Championship 2025 and see if we can get ourselves a win. I'll settle for a podium, but let's try and get a win. So as the tensions build, we prepare ourselves to jump in the seat for race 2. Now obviously race 1 has been a good result, not quite a podium, not quite the result I wanted, but we can't win them all, can we? So now we just need to head into this race with a fresh mindset and do what we can. Try and come across the line first. Let's go for race 2. We'll come round the final corner on the green flag lap and make our way to our pit box. Now I haven't watched this video. In fact, I stopped myself from editing for quite a few weeks so that I could come back and watch this race with a fresh set of eyes. So I can't, obviously I can remember the result and some things that happened, but I can't remember exactly what went on in this race lap by lap. So I think it's going to be interesting to watch it from maybe a fresh perspective and give you the live commentary as I would be commentating if it was someone else's race. So as you can see, lined up in pole. Funny thing is, we put a new sun strip on and it completely blocked the lights, so I couldn't see anything. I was just guessing. And you can see Robert in the rear view mirror there to the right as we build the revs. And I reacted to Brian Heary next to me, and as you can see, pole position, absolutely bottled it. Couldn't get it into second gear. I tried about 3 or 4 times, and I've dropped like a stone. So I started on pole, and we're at turn 1, and I'm already 6th. And I've got the ECAS car behind me ready to pounce as well, so I've got to keep my eye open for him. But I'm going to use a slipstream. I think I'm just going to be really aggressive and try and chuck it down the inside of Ethan Sparrow here, a driver that I can definitely trust to do that sort of thing with. As we head down, we get a place back, but there's the ECAS car having a look down the inside. Is he going to try and get the run onto the back straight, or is he going to back out? I think he backs out very sensibly. Now Robert has made himself up a few places from 4th, or a place from 4th into 3rd position, and he's looking to try and make a claim on that podium. But Andrew Bull, seriously fast driver, is sitting in 4th and ready to pounce at any point. So we've already made a bad start. All we can do now is go forward, hopefully. So let's work on catching the pack ahead as we hit the brakes. Robert's a little bit cautious as he heads in at a tight line, flicks the brakes, and he's lost a lot of momentum there. And myself and Andrew Bull are going to go round the outside of him. Unfortunately, with the gap to the leaders there, not a good chance for me to try and help Robert out there by giving him a push. But Ethan Sparrow also taking advantage of the loss of momentum from the 20 car there, and he pulls himself up into 5th position as well. So Robert down into 6th, but he's there and he's still in the pack, so that's all that matters as we chase the top 3 now to try and hone in on reclaim that pole position that I had. Let's see what we can do throughout the race. But as you can see, the leaders have a little bit of a leg advantage on me. I say leg advantage, and I just felt like the whole weekend they just had a tiny bit more down the straights, which is something we're going to work on, but I mean nothing we can do now, so I'll just do what I can in the braking zone and the corners, as few there are, to try and make things up. But it's not an end of the world amount of loss, but it was just a little frustrating that I couldn't sort of get in the positions that I wanted to. But nevertheless, we head onto the back straight for the 2nd time, following Andrew Bull as he tries to catch the 2 ahead of him. But it's Nick Crispin leading at the moment, followed by Brian Heary, Andrew Bull, so the 2 Tete Rouge cars in the front pack there, and myself, Ethan Sparrow, and Robert Dawson behind him. So in the top 6, we've got 2 Podium MotorWorks cars, Nick Crispin, who is also our teammate, 2 Tete Rouge cars, and Ethan Sparrow in the SCA car. He's going to be looking to try and capitalise on any fights that happen ahead as he sits comfortably behind me. And Andrew Bull getting a little bit feisty on his teammate Brian Heary there as we head down into Vale for the 2nd time. And Nick Crispin actually looked like he was pulling away a little bit there, but Brian's still on the back of him. So holding the lead for the 2nd lap is Nick Crispin, and we are sitting, waiting, being patient, and ready to make our move whenever the opportunity arises as we head down the straight and into turn 1 for the 3rd time. Ethan Sparrow just dropping off that little bit from the back of us as Brian Heary has a look down the inside of Nick Crispin for turn 1, which then invites Andrew Bull down the inside of him, so they're 3 wide. Am I going to make it 4 wide? No, I decide against that. And Andrew Bull down the inside capitalises on the 2 ahead fighting, and I try and make a sneaky little move down the inside of Nick Crispin there, but I think I'm going to lose out a little bit. Don't know if I've got the bottles to go through here side by side, and I back out just too much, and Ethan Sparrow now on the outside, so what I thought was going to be a 3rd position has now dropped down into 5th position as we are side by side, neck and neck with Ethan Sparrow as we head down the straight, searching for that toe from our teammate ahead, and we just about get it. Robert Dawson sitting behind ready to pounce in case anything happens, but as you can see just on the left hand side, still neck and neck with Ethan Sparrow as we head into the fastest corner of the track, almost flat out, and I just get ahead and Ethan decides to back out, tuck in behind down the hill into Vale, and we managed to hold 4th position. A little bit of a struggle there as we headed side by side down the straight, but the 3 ahead still making moves, so there's a chance for us to catch up again, and we do under braking as they squabble with each other. And Nick Crispin looking for an opening there on Brian Heary as Andrew Bull maintains the lead that he got at turn 3 with Brian Heary breathing down his neck into lap 4. Or, yes, into lap 4. Got confused there. But as you can see, just I wasn't quite as close as I'd like to be, so there wasn't as much a toe in there altogether, but they're just pulling away that little bit. At this point, I need Ethan Sparrow, as he is, to give me a little bit of a push so we can both close in on those leaders again and make our way back into the front pack as the gap's opened up just a little more than I'd like. But we hit the brakes as late as we can, get the car turned in and on the power as early as possible to try and catch up to that bright orangey red car of Nick Crispin. Oh, a little bit of a misshift there as we head down the back straight again. And Nick Crispin very close to the back of Brian Heary, but Andrew Bull still leading the race here from that move he made a couple laps ago. So 2 laps led by Nick Crispin, 2 laps led by Andrew Bull. Is he going to hold it, or is his teammate going to have a look? No, it looks like he's pushing him. And I still have Ethan Sparrow for company right behind me, and you can just see Robert Dawson staying in touch, as well as Andrew Bull goes super wide. Brian Heary a little bit wide as well, and I capitalise and think, oh, I'm going to take this. But here comes Ethan Sparrow down the inside. He takes me, and he's about to take Nick Crispin. Yeah, he does. They almost collide. Nick has to make avoiding action, and then I have to hold the brakes. Brian Heary dives down the inside of me and holds his momentum to take the position back off Ethan Sparrow. So in the space of 1 corner, the lead has changed 3 times as Ethan Sparrow thought he had that, but unfortunately was a little ambitious and scrubbed too much speed. As here comes Andrew Bull, as I think he thought I was out the way there as he turned across the car, bumping into me. But he's got a nice push from Nick Crispin now as they head up the inside, and so I decide to go down the inside. I'm struggling to keep up here. There's a lot of movement going on, and try and take that position back from Ethan Sparrow. So Ethan Sparrow led for a whole corner, and then was in second for a whole corner in a straight, and he's about to get shuffled back down where he was into 5th position if I can do anything about it. So I try and squeeze him as much as I can without pushing him off, and this time I'm a lot braver down the inside and I hold it next to him, and again myself and Ethan Sparrow side by side behind Nick Crispin. It's almost a carbon copy, but watch the rear view camera. Here's Robert Dawson ready to come and save the day as he's closing, and he's never pushed a car before, and you can tell by how hard he hits me. Drives into the back of me, and he's pushing me down the straight, and now he's having a look to take the position off Ethan Sparrow, and that's pushed us both ahead of the SCA car. Fantastic teamwork from Rob, but he's just losing the rear end there as he holds on, and unfortunately I think Ethan Sparrow is now going to have a look around the outside into Vale, but crucially Rob has pushed me back into the action with the lead 3 as I have a look and making a advantageous move down the inside of Nick, but it's not going to work. Try and get the cut back, but I was too late on the power, and back onto the back bumper is Robert Dawson as he's ready to take advantage of anything that goes wrong. Here he is. He's going to give me another push. Closing, and it's another push. The Podium MotorWorks cars working together fantastically, and Rob doing a massive job there to help us close in on those leaders and make some moves again, maybe, because this has been a hectic race. Didn't feel this hectic. Certainly didn't feel as hectic as race 1, but Rob there now having a look to move to the inside, but weirdly pulled out the toe there, which lost him a bit of time. But I think he was maybe going to make an advantageous move down the inside of me, but it didn't quite go his way. But he's there, and we're back on the front 3, crucially, as Robert Dawson in the 20 car doing a spectacular job for the team there as he pushes me ahead. And I clip the outside curb there as we turn in, just unsettles the car. Nick Crispin asking me to push him, but I just don't have the legs. I just can't get onto the back of the car to help him out, unfortunately. So yeah, just struggling. The slipstream, I should be getting pulled along here, but he's just pulling away that little bit. It was so frustrating at the time. And Robert Dawson sitting there ready to pounce as well. I think he was hovering on the throttle, not willing to push as hard this time, because actually we had a look at the front of his car afterwards, and his fan had absolutely destroyed itself. So it's a wonder he actually made it to the end of the race without frying the engine. But crucially, Nick Crispin looking around the outside of Brian Heary as we saw Andrew Bull went too wide round Stowe, losing positions to them, and I decide to take 3rd position, and this time I can push Nick Crispin. I am close enough for the draft to make any difference at all, and I've got the draft and the side draft from Brian Heary. But here's Andrew Bull still with that overspeed, a colossal engine on him, and now I'm getting pulled back by the side draft, pulled back in by the side draft, and it's just side by side madness as we head into turn 2. We'll call it a turn, it's not really in a 2CV, and down into turn 3. But crucially, Nick Crispin now leading. Roberts shuffled back to 6th again as Ethan Sparrow made a move there, I think maybe in the hecticness of all that changing. But here's Andrew Bull forcing me off the track there, a little bit naughty from himself as we head round onto the back straight again, and I'm going to hold it round the outside. But Andrew Bull going very, very wide, pushing me off, and he's not letting me on there at all. So personally, very naughty from Andrew Bull there, but you know, sometimes we make mistakes. I'll let him off. Anyway, back onto the action. I was audibly angry at that situation, but there's nothing we can do now. We've got to get head down and push on as we've got Ethan Sparrow at the inside of us, and he has a look down the inside of Andrew Bull as Andrew Bull yet again goes wide. That must be his 4th or 5th track limits by now. But crucially, if you look ahead, Nick Crispin is flying away at this point as Andrew Bull chucks it down the inside even after taking extra track on the outside. Again, a little bit naughty, maybe a bit of frustration for Andrew Bull there at losing the spots ahead. So we'll let him off. It's racing, this sort of thing happens. But we'll head back down the inside of Ethan Sparrow as Ethan drops back. But this time I am going to push Ethan and help him out. Lift off the throttle just before you touch him. Push him ahead. We can catch these leaders if we use our brains. There's no point throwing our weight around at this point because we've got plenty of time left in the race. But it's Nick Crispin followed by Brian Heary, Andrew Bull, Ethan Sparrow, myself, and car 20 Robert Dawson, my teammate, behind, staying in touch with the leaders, which could be very crucial towards the end of the race. I just realised I've used the word crucial or crucially far too many times this race, so I'm going to attempt to not use that word again as we head down the back straight yet again behind Ethan Sparrow this time. Now he's got a nice toe, and again just pulling away that little bit from me, but Robert Dawson not getting a great run onto the back straight either. And here's Brian Heary having a look down the inside of Nick Crispin, and it's going to happen. Nick Crispin tries to hold it around the outside. Is he going to do it? yeah, just about holds that position. Ethan Sparrow having a look down the inside of Andrew Bull, which will then turn to the outside. I get the overspeed and look down the inside of Andrew Bull. And the two leaders are fighting down the inside, and I decide to chuck it down the inside, but I completely miss my braking point and pile into the side of Brian Heary, and I have to give that position back, because that would not have been a very fair move at all. That was a complete miscalculation by myself, and I think I got a little bit too eager as we head onto the final lap. Now things are going to get a little bit crazy now as Brian Heary pulls out of the slipstream down the inside of Nick Crispin. Andrew Bull gets a nice side draft for myself, drafts up to the back of his teammate now, and it's now 2 by 2 by 2. Robert Dawson having a look at from the back there, and Ethan Sparrow follows Andrew Bull there. I decide to go for the outside line for turn 3 as it's Andrew Bull up the inside, and Brian Heary misses his braking and slams into the back of Nick Crispin, and then slams into the side of me, and then I turn in assuming Brian's going to turn in, which he didn't, and we collide yet again, and that's pushed me all the way back down to 6th, and Brian Heary's lost out as well. Ethan Sparrow now sitting in 2nd position behind Andrew Bull, who made a really advantageous move there down the inside, and it's side by side by Nick Crispin and Robert Dawson as we head on the final lap down into Stowe for the last time. Robert Dawson tucks in behind Nick Crispin as they head up into Stowe. Flat out corner. Can Robert do anything about it? Unfortunately, it's all over for me. I do have to keep my eye out for Brian Heary behind. But Rob's still behind Nick Crispin. Is Ethan Sparrow going to get on top of Andrew Bull? Either he's having a look, but it's not quite happening for him, not quite close enough, and neither is it for Robert Dawson as he falls back just that little bit from Nick Crispin as they head into Vale for the final time. I chuck it and give it everything just in case something happens to someone ahead, but it's to no avail, unfortunately, as we come round the final corner. It's going to be Andrew Bull followed by Ethan Sparrow. Nick Crispin takes 3rd position, and Robert Dawson nipping at his heels in 4th place. Beats his teammate in just his 2nd race in a brand new car. Fantastically done. And I cross the line in 5th with Brian Heary behind us in 6th position. So what I thought was going to be a really intelligently played game just ended up being a bit of a disaster, but you know, in racing sometimes that happens. So a fantastic effort from the team. Robert Dawson doing a fantastic job in the midpoint of the race to try and help us get back onto that pack as we were starting to lose touch. And credit to him, he was in the right place at the right time and made that advantageous move as everything else was falling apart around him, and finishes in 4th position, which is just a fantastic finish for him. So P8 in the first race as he dropped right to the back of the grid after the first turn. They'd got himself back up to 8th, which is fantastic. And then in race 2, doubles it, P4, thumb out the window. I give him a round of applause as I pull next to him. Seriously angry with the situation, but still, you know, when your teammate and one of your best friends is doing so well, you've got to appreciate that. So I think just a fantastic team effort from the two of us, certainly to get the car 20 out on the grid for Silverstone and to be competitive with both cars, and really a thrilling race. And again, congratulations to Ethan Sparrow, who did a fantastic job and got himself up into P2. But the winner for race 2 was indeed Andrew Bull, as he just did a fantastic job of putting himself in the right position at the right time, and things came out very well for him. A little bit of elbows out, which I wasn't too happy about, but you know, that's racing. So things to work on. Racecraft, I made one big mistake which could have been fatal, as in car fatal for 2 cars, and a little bit of work to do on the engine, but a fantastic race and a good result. P4 and 5 at Silverstone. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you at Pembrey for the next one.